What up, what up, what up? I'm AC Cruz. You know who you are. Welcome to the podcast. My podcast. Your podcast. Our podcast. Who is? Today's guest, Genyva Salas Monjaras. She goes by the name Simplemente Genyva. Not simplemente, obviamente, pero just Genyva. Simplemente, I just threw it in there because it's simple. Nothing about this young lady is simple, that's for sure. Quite the contrary. Very interesting. Very interesting, I thought. Let me know what you think. Genyva. You get the picture. Anyway, she's got a pretty impressive story, a touching one for that matter, and she's going to share it with us in just a bit. But first, did you do it? Come on, you know what I'm talking about. Did you do it? Did you do it? I know you didn't, but what about you? I didn't do it, that's for sure. And you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Yeah, you know. Somebody somewhere in Illinois hit the winning numbers for the lotto. We're talking about a $1.28 billion jackpot. After it's all said and done, your lump sum, $747.2 million in cash before taxes. I know I ain't gonna see none of that. If anything, they took my money. And you know what? I mean, what would you do if you were the winner? If you won that much money? I know what I would do. I'd buy myself a new chair. One that doesn't squeak that bad. You hear that? At least one chair. Oh yeah, some beer. I got my priorities all screwed up. Give me some beer and then the chair. I know. Let's get on with the podcast. Vámonos. Jackie, hit it. Valiendo madre.
On the next AC Cruz Podcast.
Well, we finally made it. How are you doing, Genyva?
I am so blessed. Good morning, AC. It's an honor to finally be able to connect with you.
It's a privilege to be on the phone with you. Well, on the Zoom with you. I mean, between you saying, can we go a little bit later? And me saying, okay, cool, we'll do it this time. And between, I started fighting with the guys from Spectrum. And then long story longer, it finally happened. Yeah, stop. That's not So, what did you have to do right now? Who's being loud next door? Okay.
They were cutting the yard back. My neighbor, they're cutting his yard, and you could hear all the machines. And I was like, oh my God, I ran outside and I'm like, can you guys keep it down for about 45 minutes? Because I'm about to do an interview. And the guy was like, okay.
Okay, so we need to hurry up. Let's go ahead and get this out the way. So, Genyva, how are you? First of all, you got the number one song in the land. Woohoo!
Yeah. All glory to God. I know that it's Him, that is taking me by the hand and is opening all these doors for me and answering all these desires of my heart that I've had since 4 years old. The day that I decided to give Him my career is the day that everything changed in my life. And I'm so blessed, more than anything, to be alive, because I'm a walking, talking miracle. And, I'm the perfect example is, that if you don't give up and you work hard, you can get that number one song. And what's even greater is that I wrote it. So that's the most amazing part.
Well, congratulations. I'm so happy for you. But like I said, we'll talk about that in a minute. You said that I met you once, and I'm so sorry. Please forgive me, but I don't remember. But it's great that we met.
I look totally different, though, because back then I had like real big red curly hair, long, and you probably wouldn't even recognize me.
When was now? What year was that? Tell me when that was.
I'm not even sure. I think I must have been. It was back in the Tejanas Saloon days, so it has to have been more than.
Don't talk about that.
More than 20 plus years. I think.
For sure. Yeah. I got married there in the Tejanas Saloon. It was crazy.
It must have been amazing because that place was huge and beautiful. Did you have a lot of people there?
Oh yeah, no, forget about it. Enough about me. Let's talk about you, okay? First of all, now, what made you get started into singing? Who made you? What made you?
Well, my parents, they bought me a record player. I think that mostly everyone has started off with the Mochila Azul record. A lot of the artists that I know, that's one of the first songs that they learned. And the same thing with me. My parents bought me the Mochila Azul record by Pedro Fernandez. And, it took off from there. I started playing it and I started learning the songs. And I was blessed that, I was invited to open up for Don Antonio Aguilar. at the Villarreal Convention Center. I mean, that was the biggest venue at the time.
Yeah.
Venue.
Yeah.
You know, shout out to Ramirez. And pues that's the place where, you know, basically I was como se dice, initiated, I guess. I guess what they call that word. But
how old were you when you started with Antonio?
Well, no, it was just that one show that I opened up for him. I was 4 years old.
Okay, got it.
And I'm gonna make sure I have an audio that we were able to find. You know, when I lost my mother last year, she's been leading me, you know, to find things that that I had been looking for so long. You know, that recording had been lost for 20 some plus years, and it was my practice session before show, so you can hear my little voice there, real raspy, and you can hear me talking about how I'm excited because I have yo tengo un charro con un sombrero. So you can hear me talking to my mom and my dad. And so it's really nice. I'm going to give you a copy.
Well, that would be awesome, man. I would love to hear that. So after the Villarreal, where did you go from there?
Well, I continued for several years performing. A lot of the schools here in the Rio Grande Valley would invite me to perform. And so, I was able to inspire a lot of, children to pursue a career in music. And, a lot of the kids ended up coming out of Edcal Chelsea, because I'm originally from Edcal Chelsea, super proud to be from the Delta area. And so we have a lot of talent that comes out of it, that's come out of there. And so
can you name me a few, please?
Well, we have Lucky Joe, he's from Edcal Chelsea. We have Epi Martinez, also, Benny Layton. Right now, I mean, I know that we have, like, for example, a newcomer, Annika Garza. She's also from Edcal Chelsea. She was one of the girls that formed part of Tejanas Unidas En Cristo, and recently Little Miss Dynamite, Shirley Lattes, produced a track for her. So I'm excited for her. I'm excited to see so much talent come out.
We can't forget about Adrian Solis.
Oh, of course, Adrian Solis. Yeah, Adrian's from Edcouch. So he's definitely, somebody to look out for. He's the entertainment company that I'm with, Cielo Entertainment. So shout out to Ms. Myra D. And so we have a lot of potential talent out there, and I'm excited. With the Tejanas Unidas En Cristo, I'm going to be doing a grant that's going to help with artist development. I want to help the next generation of La Onda Tejana, and what we're going to be doing is providing like a grant that's going to help a new artist record a single, music video. That's
awesome. And listen, I want you to know that we need to slow down. You get ahead of me. So first of all, when you came out of Edcal Chelsea with all this talent, that's awesome. Now you're in where? McAllen Far? Where you at now?
I live in Westerville, Texas now.
I used to work there. ¿Qué pasa? Yeah. Where did you start singing after that?
In high school, I joined, it was kind of like a mariachi, but we called it La Estudiantina, and it was directed by, legendary musician Benny Layton. Because after, my elementary years, middle school, I stopped singing a while. So I don't know, I got kind of shy. So a lot of people didn't really, know that I sang, once we were in school, other than my close friends. And so one day we had one of the lead vocalists from Estudiantina, because in Estudiantina, I would just play guitar. So Mr. Layton had no idea that I sang, but we were preparing for a UIL competition. And the lead singer was out sick one day, and so we were having trouble practicing because we didn't have a singer.
Yeah.
And so I told Mr. Layton, I'm like, sir, come. And he's like, ¿Qué pasó, Genyva? Because he knew my mom, so he would call me by my first name all the time. And I said, I can help. Maybe if I practice with them, we won't fall behind. And he's like, you sing? And I was like, well, I think so. And so when I started singing at the time, I think it was Amor Eterno that we were I started singing, and everybody was just like, what? And Mr. Layton was like, why didn't you tell me you sang? And I'm like, well, you never asked me, So it just became a joke between us, And he would tell me, no, your mom used to sing so beautiful, and she would compete, and she was amazing. And I was like, really? Like, my mom had never shared that with me. I knew that she would sing because she would sing along with me sometimes, but I never knew that she would compete and would win contests and stuff like that. And I was amazed. And so right after we were practicing with that song, he ran to his office and pulled out all these papers and handed them out to everyone. And I'm like, what's this? And he's like, you're going to learn this song because we're going to compete with 2 songs this year. I'm like, what? And so we ended up learning Costumbres, and we got a first division award. And I was like, whoa, like, to me it was huge because here I am just a guitar player, and then I ended up a lead singer on the Estudiantina, and we went off to win a lot of first division awards. Thank God.
Good for you. That's awesome. Yeah. So after Estudiantina, after high school, you took a break. That's when you got back into business, right?
Yes. Yeah. I had my first Tejano band at the age of 18, which was Grupo Sierra. It was amazing because I got to sing a lot of songs that inspired me. At the time, we were doing a lot of covers, like by Stephanie Montiel, Shelly Lares, Elida, a lot of the female artists that inspired my love for Tejano music, like Laura Canales, Selena. And so, it was, imagine I'm 18 years old and I'm coming into a band that has already been together for many years, this awesome sound. And unfortunately, 3 months into this, they decided they wanted to only have a male singer because we were a male and a female singer, So here I was like heartbroken because I was like, oh, they didn't want me, But I think it became kind of like a reason for me to want to do it even more, and that's when I joined Grupo La Fuerza. I don't know if you remember Juan Cole with La Fuerza.
Yes, I'm in the band, yeah.
Yeah, so then I don't know what had happened between them, but Juan Cole had dissolved with La Fuerza. I think he wanted to go independent or like solo or something. I'm not really sure, but they invited me to audition and I did. And, we were together for about a year. And right before we were going to go into the studio, the musicians wanted to do their own thing. And again, the band dissolved. And so, there's been a lot of things that have prevented me from really, launching my career and taking it, where I've dreamt of going. But, it's the past. I can't be bitter about it. Those are like learning experiences that, that just help make me stronger. And finally in 2008, I did a TV show that was like a contest that they were having here in the Rio Grande Valley with the Marcos Valdez show. And it was with Univision, and I won. And I won the opportunity to record an album with Discos Joey International. It was just either, just for example, the CD, the studio time. But when Joey Lopez heard me, he offered me a record deal. And at the time, he had, Michael Salgado, he had Fama, he had a lot of, different bands. And so I was like, you know what, I'll try it. So we did a 1-year contract. But again, 4 months into the promotion of the album, Mr. Lopez was diagnosed with cancer. And so my album was parked, and so I didn't really get to do much.
But you kept going, didn't you?
Yeah, I sure did. And then I got sick. We couldn't figure out what it was. I was having like hemorrhage all the time, And so that's why I'm very passionate about talking to women and, making sure that they go get their pap smears every year, their mammograms, because cancer, you can catch it on time. That's why early detection is so important. Unfortunately, I ended up being out for a little over a year because we found out that I had malignant cancer and I had to have a hysterectomy. Fortunately, I had already had 2 beautiful daughters and, I was able to, just recuperate at home. And, it was really God that healed me. And I know that I'm a living, walking, talking miracle because after we had, there was medical negligence involved. And
wow.
So I had to have several procedures done.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, but God gave me that premonition that something was wrong, and that's how we were able to find out that there was medical negligence, and we took care of it. I had to have 3 surgeries, and it took me almost a year and a half, I say, to be able to be up working and and performing again.
When you were out all that time, were you still playing music, or did you get?
Yeah, I was still recording. I just wasn't really performing live.
Yeah, sure.
It was just complicated because you're talking about like a hemorrhage that was uncontrollable. I couldn't go on the road. I couldn't go anywhere because I was just so heavy with my flow all the time. That I couldn't tour. I couldn't do nothing because, at one event that I had, I was at a church event with Penny Rivera's brother. I'm not sure if you know Pedro Rivera Jr. We did an event together and pasé unas vergüenzas because I hemorrhaged so much that I had to shower at the pastor's home. And it was just horrible. But thank God, that he healed me and I no longer have those issues. And
can I ask you a personal question real quick? When did you become so close to God?
I think because I'm not gonna lie. I've had my times when I've rebelled against God, but when my brother died, that was one of the times. But I'd have to say, I think I got closest. I've always had a relationship with him, but I think I got closest to him in 2013. I think that's when my relationship with him, became a lot closer. And because we're raised by our parents to have certain beliefs. Like I was raised Catholic, but I feel that I respect everybody's religion, but I feel that once I went into a Christian church, I was able to understand the word a little bit more, and so when my best friend died, I think that it kind of made me kind of like question it, like, okay, God, I've been going to church 3 times a week. I told my best friend that you were heal her, and the following day she dies. So I was bitter. I was mad. I was like, how could you do this to me? How could you not hear my prayer? But we need to understand that we can't question God. We can't question why things happen. So it's just the enemy that wants to break you and have you rebel against God. And a lot of people say, well, why did God let this happen to me? We all have free will. And sometimes, the devil just wants to, he's out to seek and destroy. And
temptation's always going to be there for sure.
Always.
I think what I'm getting at to you is the fact that you recently lost your mom, your brother, your best friend, and yet you still have the faith, which is great, which I would as well. But did that inspire you to do this project with all these incredible women? What is it again? What is it?
Tejanas Unidas En Cristo.
I gotta tell you what, that is awesome. You put that all together yourself, man.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that, please.
Well, I'm very passionate about mental health. One, because I'm a suicide attempt survivor. And sorry if I get a little bit of emotional, but a little over 2.5 years ago, I really felt that I had like no purpose. I felt like, and the sad part is that music can lead you to that. I was like, man, I sing so good, and nadie me pela. Like I don't get like, you have so many people that can't even sing, and they're over here, touring all over the world. But I came to the understanding that maybe that was the desire of their heart, and God granted them that,
Sure.
And that I realized that God's timing is perfect. And so I was going through a really bad depression because I was supposed to be on this majorly important international TV show. And they didn't even have the courtesy to call me. Like I showed up at the airport thinking I'm flying out today, for example. And they're like, oh no, they canceled your ticket. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? I'm supposed to be in Mexico City by tonight, because I'm filming in the morning. And they're like, no, we're sorry, your ticket was canceled. So I called the production, and they're like, oh, well, we had a budget cut. And, since you're one of the ones that lives the furthest, we had to, eliminate you. So I was like,
well, thanks for letting me know.
And so I just felt like, nah, you know what? It was just like an array of things. And so I left my house one night at 2 a.m. with the intention of taking my life. Like walking on the sidewalk down the side of there's a main street right here by where I live. And it was just me, the moon, the stars, and a truck that I could see, a big truck that I could see coming from afar. And I was already ready with my tennies gripped in the dirt to just jump in front of it. And right before it got to me, it just turned around. So I knew, like at that moment, like I fell to my knees and I had instant regret. And I said, oh my God, Lord, forgive me. I said, but you made the truck turn around. So I knew at that moment that he had a purpose for me. And so I came back home, and nobody knew about this suicide attempt until last year when I opened up about it. I crawled into my bed, my husband, no idea. And then 2 days later, I was sitting outside my backyard. I have this little nice seating area, and I was crying because I felt the same. I felt worthless. I felt useless. I felt like I had no purpose. And I said, man, God, and I was crying. I was crying, and I had just had an argument with my husband, and Like, it was just, everything had built. And I said, Lord, like, if you knew that I was still going to feel this way, like, why did you make the truck turn around? And instantly, my phone started playing by itself. And you could hear just the melody, like, da, na, na, da, na, na, na. And so I looked at my phone and I saw that it was on YouTube. And I said, oh no, this is God. I said, because YouTube, you have to search the song, wait for the commercials, before your song plays. So I said, okay, Lord, show me. And so I closed my eyes, and everything you see in the music video is exactly what he showed me. And all these girls, we have a connection because either they inspired me or I inspired them, or I was their fan. I wanted to incorporate in this project not only girls that were icons on the Tejana, but I wanted to include girls that were currently on radio and the future generation of La Onda Tejana. And all these girls, with the exception of two, I had some kind of connection with them somehow. But the other two that were added, I believe were meant to be added.
So what was the video playing on YouTube?
It was the same song that were recorded, Aquí Estás, but it was another version. Yeah, that song had been introduced to me by Jose Luis Ayala, which was Ramon Ayala's brother.
Yes.
We had a band together, Grupo Amor. We had a Christian band that we had together, and he's the one that had introduced me to that song. So I said, "Ay, hermano, gracias," because I felt like it was God that was like reminding me, like, "Hey, do this." And so the following day, I started calling the girls. The first one that I reached out to was Pilares, and she was like, absolutely. And I started calling all these girls, and everybody was like, yes. And so a whole year had gone by before we would have put it together because of the pandemic. The studios were closed, like all the odds against us, but God provided. We were able to go. I worked with a producer out of Mexico that produces for Ana Barbara, Karin Leon. I just knew that he was the one that I had to use to do the musical arrangements. And so we recorded the vocals at Freddie Records in Corpus Christi. We had to find a place that was going to be able to accommodate all of us, because imagine, 25. Unfortunately, because we had to record in 3 separate groups because, everybody's schedules. It was kind of hard, but, God made it possible. And we, at the same time, we filmed a documentary. Hopefully it'll be out in the, a little bit later in the fall. Right now we're it's in LA. They're looking over it. We're possibly going to get a streaming deal. And that's amazing because it's not only musical, but it's educational. The fans are going to get to know these women at a whole other level. They know the artist, but they don't know the person, and so, like, for example, me, I had no idea that Patsy was a doctor, and so I had a movie premiere for the girls, and we got to see not all the movie, but most of the movie, and it's beautiful because it talks about trials and tribulations and things that these women have overcome, but don't know they've overcome, and how God pulled them out of it.
Now, what made you decide you want to do it behind the South Padre Convention Center?
Because I wanted to capture the sunset.
And the Bayside is the best place to catch the sunsets.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just all like fell into place. God provided. The convention center didn't even charge us. They gave us a room there. Like the food was donated. I mean, I went all out for these girls. God provided absolutely. I was 2 months before my mom passed away is when we had started going into the studio and stuff. And unfortunately, she passed away in February. And so she wasn't able to the video shoot, but she found a way to give me a sign. When I walked out and I was going towards the water, and I saw how everybody's moms were out there, It's hard because I knew if my mom was alive, she would have been out there with me, supporting me. And, just to see all the moms proud of their daughters out there was so beautiful. And when I was walking down towards the water, I was walking behind Demi Garcia. And I looked out to the, towards the sunset. I said, man, Mom, I wish you were here. And then all of a sudden, this beautiful white butterfly just pops out of the grass. And I was like, look, because Demi almost fell. And so she kind of moved the brush, and then all of a sudden this beautiful white butterfly like comes out of the grass and just flies right by me. And I was like, look, Demi, she's here, and so it kind of like brightened my day. And how I validated that it was true is because 2 days later, I was here in my home and I was on the phone and I was talking to a friend of mine, and aunt was here, which is my mom's sister. And I was telling my friend, dude, I saw this white butterfly. And my aunt was like, what? And I was like, yeah, tia, like this white butterfly came toward her. They're watching you. She says, there's a white butterfly that kept coming towards me. And I was like, what? So what are the odds that with this big old open beach that the same butterfly would come to me and would come to my mother's sister, So it was just kind of like beautiful, and it just validated that, that she was there with me.
I got to tell you that I think that it's a spectacular project that you did, and I'm so glad that it worked out for you. And you're right, God works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, for the subscribers that are listening to this podcast that don't know the song, that have never heard that song, please tell us where we can find it.
Yeah, well, the song is available on all digital platforms. So it's available on Spotify, on Apple Music.
And the name of the song is?
The name of the song is called Aquí Estás by Tejanas Unidas En Cristo. And the official music video is up on YouTube. It's absolutely beautiful. I think we already reached 133,000 views. So that's amazing. 133,000 people that, maybe perhaps felt the Holy Spirit through our song. And that's the goal.
Tell me about this scholarship.
Okay, so Tejanas Unidas En Cristo, I decided to do a nonprofit. And so what I decided is that we're going to be giving away a grant once a year for artist development. I mean, I want to get involved with maybe, I know that I reached out to the Tejano Music Award Association because I want to have a platform to present, these grants. And I want a platform where they're going to be able to introduce the project the following year. And so I'm looking for an award show that's interested in working with Tejanas Unidas En Cristo to help the new generation. Ever since this project, now I see everybody's talking about gay unity, they want to help new artists. And I'm like, wow, that's great. That our project was able to inspire these people to finally want to help, because I didn't have that help when I was first, in this industry. I mean, there was no artist that mentored me. And I think it was because they were probably just too busy, with their hits. But
now that being said, that you inspire some other people, the up and coming talent, tell me about the new song that's #1 across the nation.
Well, Entre Tus Brazos was a song that I wrote when I was 17 years old. I met my husband when I was 16. And a year into the relationship, I knew that he's who I wanted to be with for the rest of my life.
How long has it been?
We just celebrated 28 years.
Awesome.
28 years. That was Entre Tus Brazos was actually my anniversary gift for our 28-year anniversary.
So tell me that I heard somewhere that you lost a song and you found it, or tell me about that, please.
Yeah. I'm telling you, my mom has been my angel. I was going through her things this past March, and so I found a binder that had been lost for years and years and years. And as soon as I opened it, Entre Tus Brazos was the very first song that was on top. And when I was reading it, the melody just came to my head and I was like, this is it. I mean, I had been going crazy trying to think of what I was going to give my husband for our anniversary. Because I mean, what do you give someone that has everything, And so when I saw that, I was like, yeah, chingue. Like, this is what I'm going to do. And so I called my producer and I'm like, hey, I'm going to send you this song. I'm just going to sing you the melody, see what you can do with it. And so my producer, or one of my producers, Salvador Chava Chavez, got together with A.B. Padron, and they made this amazing sound. I wanted, I was excited also at the time because technically I'm already legally Mexican American. I mean, My dad's from Mexico, so I got my dual citizenship, and I said, I want this song not only to represent, my Mexican heritage, but I wanted to make it kind of Tex-Mex, Tejano with a little bit of Monterrey sound. And so this is what we came up with, and I think it's amazing because it's my #1 song. It's not a song that somebody else wrote that I helped make it #1 with my voice. It's #1 overall. I believe it's because, God will, from here, I mean, we're fixing to do an international tour, and I'm excited about that. When I decided to give, like I said, my career to the Lord, I believe that He's the one that has been guiding every single thing and has led us to this number one spot.
So what's coming down the pipe? What can we expect?
Well, right now we're in the studio. I'm working on an EP. Like I said, this song, I wrote it. And with that first album, it was never really, put out into the public. So I'm going to be grabbing all those songs, re-recording the vocals, and I'm going to be doing an EP of all originals of Genyva. It's going to be called Inspiración de mi propia letra, volumen 1. And so it's going to have 6 songs that were written by me. And then I'm also working on a Christian album that's going to feature collaborations with Shelly Lares, with Patsy Torres, Sarah Monique. So it's going to feature the Tejanas Unidas En Cristo track, and then songs with me and a lot of the girls that form part of Tejanas Unidas En Cristo. So we've got 2 albums in the works. God willing, we might have hopefully a Grammy nomination. That's the goal. I'm leaving to Mexico for an international tour this coming week. And I'm excited to see what God has in store. He's opening all these doors for us. And I'm just excited to see what else is in store for Genyva.
¿Y cómo te fue la entrevista que hiciste anoche?
Pues tuvimos que cancelarla, no pudimos conectarnos porque era de la Ciudad de México y no sé, tuvieron problemas. They had problems with the connection, and so we weren't able to get connected. But we're going to be on tonight, and I went live on Facebook. I said, well, I already have my makeup done, might as well go live on Facebook. So I went live on Facebook for a little bit, and so we're going to be, I have my calendar so full, and I'm glad that, you and I were finally able to connect.
Yeah, well, I do thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to me, and I do appreciate that. However, you had this big party. I saw Mando San Roman, my good buddy. I saw Adrian Solis. I saw Jay-Z. I saw Myra. Everybody was at this big party for you because you hit number 1, but I never received an invitation.
Well, it was a surprise party. It was like a last minute thing.
Oh,
I promise you that's not the main celebration. That was just the pre-celebration. We're gonna have a big pachanga to celebrate, so you'll definitely be invited. I pray that this isn't my first number 1 song. The Tano Gold Countdown is something that I prayed was like in high school to be on. So the fact that we were finally able to get a number 1 song, and how it was that God let me find out, was even more amazing. Sitting outside, I was praying with my hands up in the air, and I said, God, let today be the day we have a number 1 song. And I said, you don't have to prove anything to me. I said, but just show me that I'm not crazy when I'm telling people that you're in the front and center of every single thing that I do. And I swear to you on everything that is holy, that instantly I heard bing, and it was the Tejano Gold Countdown congratulating me. I click on the link and boom, I have a number 1 song.
Awesome.
So, God is great. He did that for me. And He also answered another desire of my heart that I did. When I met my husband, May 7th, 1994, my first date with him, I was at the Roadhouse at a Joe Lopez y Grupo Mas concert. I was standing in the front of the stage, and I said, God, I want to be up there like her one day. And 28 years later, I was standing on stage May 7th as a backup vocalist for Joe Lopez y Grupo Mas. So He answered that desire of my heart. So I'm on tour right now with Joe Lopez y Grupo Mas. So shout out to my boss. I'm excited. He's got a new album called Love from the Heart. And I'm excited to see what God has in store for him. And I'm just living this, one day at a time. If God is granting me these opportunities, I'm just going to ride with it and just see. I just want to talk about Him and His love. It's not about Genyva. It's not about Joe. It's not about anyone, but glory, everything He's done in my life and bringing hope and inspiration to people all over the world, because He healed me not only of cancer, but of depression. And I just want to be an example for all the girls that are, all the girls and boys, or men and women that are out there in their homes thinking that dreams don't come true. They do. And I'm the perfect example. Just invite God into your heart. He can change your situation. He did it for me. And I just ask that they continue to support me. They can follow all my social media. I'm under Genyva, Genyva. And I'm with Cielo Entertainment. If they want to book me, they can call 956-367-7818. And I just ask for their support.
I got to tell you, when I told my sister, Genyva asked me about how are you doing? I told her you're doing fine. And I want to thank you. Tell me how you ran into my sister.
I was printing out some posters and she said, "Oh, you sing?" And I said, "Yeah." And she says, "I have a brother that he's been in radio for many, many years." And I said, "Who's your brother?" And she said, "AC Cruz." And I was like, I just talked to your brother last week, and I believe it was a divine appointment. I believe it was. And, I was able to call you and tell you that she fell. It was so scary. I saw your sister fall.
Yeah.
There was nothing I could do. I was helpless.
No, she's doing fine. But I appreciate you letting me know because I called. No, I'm going to forget about it. Anyway, Genyva, I know you got to go. Continued success. I'm so happy for you. And you know what? You're right. God does work in mysterious ways.
Absolutely. And I wish you continued success on your show. And I ask, for supernatural healing over your body. And obviously you're a survivor as well. And you're a walking, talking miracle. And I pray continued success over you. And thank you so much. God bless you.
Igual. Whoa, that was heavy. Thank you so much, Genyva. Was that crazy or what, man? Divine appointment. That's one way of looking at it. Talk about trials and tribulations. Wow. You've come a long way, sweetie. God bless all the work that you're doing. Suerte, mana. With everything you got coming up. That's it for us. We're out the door. Want to thank Romeo, the donation, the voice girl, Jacqueline, and more importantly, want to thank you, the subscribers, the listeners. Thank you so much. If you like the podcast, tell your friends. If your friends don't like it, find new friends. So just chill to the next episode of the AC Cruz Podcast. Much love. Be safe. God bless.